And then I think there's an ethical issue.
When you accuse people of being bribed, it kind of gets their attention.
Sir, hold on a second. I'm not accusing anybody of being bribed. I'm not.
But some people are.
Some people are.
Today, inside the Senate Judiciary Committee, sparks flew over Supreme Court ethics. Senator John Kennedy came out swinging, and trust me, he did not hold back. In his opening statement, Kennedy wasted no time. He slammed what he called a decades-long campaign by Democrats to undermine the Supreme Court. He threw back to 2020, quoting, "You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price."
Americans may be poorer under the Biden administration, but they are not stupid. They know what's going on here. I remember the Democratic leader's words of March 4th, 2020, on the steps of the United States Supreme Court, like they were yesterday. "I want to tell you, Gorsuch," he said, not Justice Gorsuch, Gorsuch. "I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions." Wow. Just wow.
Kennedy's response? Wow, just wow. He painted the hearing as part of a federal power grab, rattling off examples, Bork, Thomas, calling them political hit jobs.
I think Matthew 12:36 is correct. "For by thy words you shall be justified, and by thy words you shall be condemned." Now, the sad truth is that some, not all, some of my Democratic colleagues have been on a crusade to undermine the United States Supreme Court's legitimacy and the credibility of the federal judiciary for years. Today's hearing is just the next chapter in their federal power grab, and they've invited cameras. It's worth remembering the very real persecution that some Democrats have levied on very good people. It started with the savage destruction of Professor and Judge Robert Bork, which even the Washington Post, for God's sakes, the Washington Post said was a case of sentencing first, verdict afterwards. In other words, they gave him a fair and impartial firing squad. Then we saw the high-tech lynching of Justice Clarence Thomas. Then, for the first time in history, they weaponized the filibuster to kill Mr. Miguel Estrada's nomination, and they also demonized Justice Janice Rogers Brown, a very fine person. When the United States Senate confirmed 3 new Supreme Court justices, which the loon wing of the Democratic Party loathed, the campaign of threats ratcheted up. You remember the shouts, "Let's pack the court," they said. "Let's pack the court." And the political threats of some of the highest officials in our government fueled physical threats against the justices, and we know that. "You have released the whirlwind," the Democratic leader said. Incensed protesters took to the streets, not outside Congress, not outside the court, but outside the homes of Justice Roberts, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Thomas, and Justice Barrett. Federal law prohibits this intimidation, but the Biden Justice Department allowed it. "You will pay the price," the Democratic leader said. In that spirit, angry protesters publicized the location of the school that Justice Barrett's children attend.
It was clear. Kennedy thinks this is all about politics, not principle. Now, if you want the real story behind the headlines, smash that subscribe button so you never miss the next update from Hotnews Today.
"You won't know what hit you," the Democratic leader said. A man with a gun, ammunition, knife, pepper spray, and zip ties went to a justice's home to assassinate him. Actually, his stated goal was to murder 3 justices. Not so suddenly, the ends justified the means for activists. Even inside the court itself, the Dobbs decision was not leaked by a left-wing blogger. Why? That's worth asking. You don't need to be Einstein's cousin to figure it out. They aren't getting their way.
Kennedy called out top Democrats, accusing them of stoking threats, even violence, against justices, referencing a chilling case where a man showed up to a justice's home with weapons. He argued that forcing a new ethics code on the court isn't just unnecessary, it's unconstitutional, warning it could politicize the judiciary. Then things got spicy with witness Payne from the Campaign Legal Center. Kennedy grilled him about statements saying the Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. Payne hesitated, but Kennedy kept pushing, quoting Payne's own tweets about politicians in robes and justices being for sale.
Mr. Payne, let me start with you, sir. You're kind of in the middle here. Does not the front page of your website say, I'm going to quote here, I want to get it right, the current U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. The current U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. Did I read that right?
What I can say is that our organization.
But is that on your website?
I am not certain exactly what's on the website.
Here it is, right here,
Okay.
big as Dallas.
What that refers to is the voting rights voting rights cases of the Supreme Court. Our organization is a voting rights organization that fights for all Americans to have the ability to vote.
Yeah, but you got to click a bunch of times to find that explanation. I just want to make sure I read that correctly. A few months ago, Mr. Payne, you retweeted the following statement. Some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale. Some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale. Now, that's a pretty bold statement.
I'm sorry, Senator, is that a news article?
No, sir. That's a retweet here. You tweeted this out. Tell me which justices are for sale.
I don't recall that tweet, but
Here it is, November 21, 2022. Can you tell me which justices are for sale?
no.
Are any of them for sale?
No, the problem is that the American public has a perception that some
yeah, but
Payne tried to walk it back, but Kennedy shot back. Then why did you tweet it out? The tension? Palpable. Switching to Fogel, Kennedy questioned him about Justice Sotomayor's 2019 trip to Puerto Rico, paid for by the ACLU.
On April 4, 2019, the American Civil Liberties Union paid for Justice Sotomayor's trip to San Juan, Puerto Rico. You ever been to San Juan, Mr. Fogel? Is it expensive?
I keep forgetting. Well, it depends when you go.
Yeah. How much you think it costs to go down there?
Depends whether you fly first class or economy.
What if you fly first class?
Oh, probably a couple $1,000s
Okay.
Yeah.
The ACLU, do they have cases in front of the Supreme Court?
all the time.
They do, all the time?
Sure.
Do you think the ACLU was trying to bribe Justice Sotomayor?
No, sir, I don't.
I don't either.
Fogel denied any bribery, and Kennedy agreed, but said scrutiny should go both ways, not just toward conservatives. He even joked, I hope you don't have library books overdue. If you think both sides should be held to the same standards, hit like. It helps spread these stories further.
And then I think there's an ethical issue.
When you accuse people of being bribed, it kind of
I'm not accusing.
gets their attention.
Sir, hold on a second. I'm not accusing anybody of being bribed. I'm not.
But some people are.
Some people are. The reason I'm here is I think that there is an ethical issue that, as Senator Graham said earlier, it would be good for the court to think about in terms of being more transparent. That is what I care about. That's the only thing I care about. There's a lot of political back and forth that's very interesting. I'm very interested in it as a citizen of the United States.
To wrap it up, Kennedy warned that undermining the court is a slippery slope, accusing some Democrats of trying to get their way by tarnishing its reputation. The message? The battle for the court's future is just getting started.
But I think the most useful thing that this or any other committee could do is think about how do we make our institutions...
Well, how are you going to do that in the context, though, of one of our leaders, for whom I have great respect, going on the steps of the United States Supreme Court, telling two justices if they vote in a way he doesn't like, they will pay the price and reap the whirlwind. And you have another one of your witnesses here tweeting out stuff saying, quote, some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale.
Yeah.
He said they were bought like a sack of potatoes.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on that, Senator. That's not anything I had anything to do with. So,
Did I hear the gavel?
thank you.
I hope. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Hirono.
So what do you think? Is this about ethics or control? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget, subscribe for more hard-hitting coverage from Hot News Today.